us on this edition of AM Today. I'm Sunday Badami.
Alright, you know how we do it on the show. We take you through the newspaper's headlines, different dailies of the day, or what the headlines say. And then we'll have a short break. After the short break, we enter into the interview segments. And you don't want to miss any of these, so stick around. Beginning the newspaper's headlines this morning on Nigerian Tribune. Nigerian Tribune, here's the stories. Wike Ikpeazu Owain Otom attend PDP governors meeting. And right after the story, Saraki Tambua Lamido Undo also in attendance. Those are ex-governors and the current ones. Alright, details of that you find on page 23 of the Nigerian Tribune. And so on the Nigerian Tribune, NPA denies corruption allegations, says no misapplication of budgetary provisions. Details of that is on page 6 of the Nigerian Tribune as well. Federal government frustrating GIFMIS to blackmail us for rejecting IPPIS. ASU alleges. You find details of that on page 27 of the Nigerian Tribune this morning. Unease over INEC's delay to conduct by-election in 12 states. You find details of that on page 22 of the Nigerian Tribune. And right up to the story says 2 Senate seats, 5 rep seats, and 9 state constituencies affected. Alright, OB, how Nigeria can become beacon of hope for Africa. Blames setback on incompetent, uncommitted leadership. Find details of that on page 23 of the Nigerian Tribune as well. Alright, to Rivers, I am not desperate to return. My spirit has already left there, says Fubara. I'm wondering if the situation is resolved. I'm saying Fubara may not be returning to the Rivers State House. What's the sincerity in that statement? One wonders. Alright, details of that you find on page 22 of the Nigerian Tribune. I am not going back to Osrc will campaign with Remi Tinubu in 2027, says that Patience Jonathan. You find details of that on page 3 of the Nigerian.
On the front page of the Guardian newspaper, some stories are also leading the path there. Let's check this one out. 237 trillion naira data expenses compete with food as Nigerians ration use. On page 6 of the Guardian newspaper this morning, people are rationing how they use because it's competing with what they spend on food and other necessities. Serap seeks CBS disclosure on released funds to local government areas, Rivers councils. It's on page 7 of the Guardian newspaper this morning. Report highlights 2024 as hottest in Africa, warns of climate impact. So that's on page 4 of the Guardian newspaper. The patient Jonathan endorses Tinubu for 2027 poll. It's on page 4 of the Guardian newspaper. Local government poll. Protests trail APC primaries over alleged imposition of candidates. It's on page 5 of the Guardian newspaper. And where is that talking about? You find a picture of Sanwo-Olu there. Of course, telling us it's about Lagos State. Defections. Wike joins PDP governors meeting in last-ditch efforts to save party. That's on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. PDP accuses Imo government of wasting 2.1 billion naira on pilgrimage. It's also reported in the Guardian newspaper this morning. ASU raises concern about corruption, weak institutions, tasks FG. It's on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper this morning. NPA debunks multi-billion-naira corruption allegation. It's also on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper of this morning. That does it there.
So from the Guardian, let's check the Daily Times. I'll campaign for Tinubu in 2027, says Patience Jonathan. The details of that we find on page 2 of the Daily Times this morning. And we also have this stories. 2027, Atiku constitutionally fit to run, says ex-spokesman Showumi. You will find the details of that on page 8 of the Daily Times this morning. West Africa security and political economy. That's the second phase of that write-up. You find the analysis on page 12 of the Daily Times. Crude oil theft. We've sent over 100 pipeline vendors to prison, as National Security Advisor says. You find details of that on page 9 of the Daily Times. Police snap 2 robbers, 2 brothers for abducting and robbing man of 70 million naira in Delta. Details of that is on page 2 of the Daily Times this morning. And that will be from the Daily Times.
Next, Ganduje under fire over one party state comment. Ohaneze, Afenifere, NNPP, Fage, others react. It's on the front page, the headlines on the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. Of course, the story spills into pages 4 and 5 of the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. I'm not desperate to return as Rivers Governor. Fubara is saying that. It's also in the Daily Trust newspaper. Leadership crisis rocks Katsina Varsity again. It's also reported there in the Daily Trust newspaper. Nigeria, Senegal in win or bust Afghan under 20 quarterfinal clash. That's a sports story you find in the Daily Trust newspaper of this morning. Arms with trillions of nairas. Arms worth trillions of naira in Boko Haram's hands. That's coming from the reps. Find that in the Daily Trust newspaper. Benue, 159 killed in 40 days as fresh attacks claim 23. Sad story there on page 22 of the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. Jonathan's wife rules out to return to Osrc. Backs Tinubu. It's also reported there in the Daily Trust newspaper. How chalk crushed ex-varsity VC's children to death. Page 29 of the Daily Trust newspaper has that story. And that's all that.
There's someone there. Now let's check the punch for some other punchy stories. Alright, beginning with this, says reverse emergency rule. Federal government taps ex-AGF 11 advocates of Nigeria as Supreme Court battle looms. You find writer says Supreme Court may release hearing dates today. PDP goes legal. PDP governor's legal team prepares as the Attorney General of the Federation says Governors Forum lack local standard. You find details of that on page 2 of the Punch this morning. And so on the Punch we have this one. Ayedatiwa Makinde Bamidele salutes Afenifere leader Spasharonti at 99. You find details of that on page 40 of the Punch this morning. Papa is pushing it to 100. Okay, happy birthday to Fasharonti there. Alright, moving on. PDP installs new BOT members as governors, map party direction. Find details of that on page 9 of the Punch this morning. A federal government makes U-turn, does its Senate Security Summit, find details of that on page 2 of Punch newspaper this morning. Also on page 7 is a story of Jonathan's wife saying she also endorses Tinubu for 2027. I'm not desperate to return as Rivers Governor, Fubara says. It's on page 9 of the Punch. And one picture on the Punch newspaper there this morning is the Pope, the new Pope. Yes, news from Spain and Catholic faithful during Pope Leo XIV first regional what now? Okay, prayer from the main central loggia of St. Peter's Basilica in the Vatican on Sunday. See the pictures there, the congregants, so many of them. Alright, that does it there on the Punch newspaper.
Let's check the Vanguard newspaper. Vanguard newspaper also has stories we've taken from other papers, but let's check if there are certain differences that we could say there. Let's check this. Despite concerns, it ramps up domestic borrowing to 10.85 trillion naira. Shifts borrowing preference to TVs amid high interest rates. Deficits to escalate as all revenue underperforms. Analysts disagree over impact of GDP rebasing on debt ratio. So talking about the debt ratio there. Defections: 7 PDP governors, Wike ex-governors, others meet on survivor. Keller's Diri Fubara absent. Internal forces sabotaging Atiku's quiet efforts to stabilize PDP. That's coming from his aide. And that in the Vanguard newspaper this morning. Well, some of the other stories there we've taken in the other papers we've checked this morning.
But really, Sunday, let's look at it this way. Wiki being a part of the PDP would survive. But what's the sincerity of that discussion?
He has not told
neither here nor there.
He has not told anyone that's not a member of the PDP. And if the PDP feels that it's not supposed to be part of it, the PDP should be bold enough and courageous enough to say they're expelling Wiki for anything they feel is anti-party and antithetical to their goals and aspirations in the party. For me, whatever comments or whatever concerns anyone is raising about the health of the PDP as it is currently would be kind of underdeveloped, because the PDP knows what is good for it and it knows what it is doing, whether it is in its advantage or otherwise. If you are giving your adversary the key to your house to clear your house for you, you understand what you're doing. You know you are really willing to do certain things that are fortunes or values in your abode. But if you do not see the person as an adversary, so be it. And so I think the PDP should deal with its issues, because it's not the only party that has issues. Don't also forget that the APC is also battling with its own. It only looks like it's all rosy for them because it's the ruling party. But the truth of the matter is that eventually it will have a whole lot in its hands, a handful for that matter, when the issue of implosion will hit that party, because how to deal with the interests of the hundreds of newcomers, new entrants into the party will be a huge challenge. You see, most times we feel that the president is the leader of the party, the governor is the leader of the party in the states as it would be, and we forget that there are certain calibrations will also come to play when the chips are down. So, but how the party leadership is able to deal with those identified issues are different kettle of fish. But for me, the PDP does not think it has an issue, so be it. If eventually it turns out that it really has an issue, so be it. I think at the end of the day, each party will bear its name and will deal with its peculiar problems.
Really? I like that submission. Each party will bear its name and deal with its own peculiar problem. Of course, the Labour Party too is having its own issues of leadership.
But I guess beyond the political issue, so something is concerning. The Senate came up and said there's a need for security summit on the way and manner things are in the security arena in Nigeria, citing cases of the Plateau killing, the Brno attacks, the one in Katsina, and many other places there. In fact, the Benue incident is just too much to bear. And in any case, reading that roughly 150 people or more have been killed in just months, not months, in 40 days, I think. I read it the other time. It is so concerning, frustrating, disappointing, and honestly speaking, it's discomfiting to read or hear such in a state that is not ungoverned, but governed by rules and the constitution, so to say. And so the Senate is coming up with a proposed summit, and honestly speaking, many commentators and observers do not agree with that thing. What exactly are we talking about? And when actions are needed, it's not talk that is necessary.
Maybe we need to design the action to be taken afterwards.
I was privileged to have enrolled into the 2014 National Conference. There was no issue that was spared at that conference. I worked at the secretariat of that conference. Nothing was spared. And when I say nothing was spared, nothing. Including security. Security
wasn't as bad as this.
I agree with you. When the then president, Jonathan, would inaugurate that confab, the only thing he said should not be tampered with is the unity of Nigeria. Although many people disagree with him that it's been a marriage of inconvenience and all of that. But then, beyond the issue of the unity of Nigeria, every other issue was trashed. And when the Buhari administration came on board and felt, oh, okay, it's not implementing all of the recommendations, over 600 recommendations came out of that confab. Now, the RFI committee was set up. They also met, did a lot of work. Kudos to them. A lot of work. Where is the result of that confab? Where is the result of the recommendations of the RFI committee? Now, beyond that, so successive administrations thereafter, I mean, months after months, many review, many summits, many meetings. For me, it's just a question of analysis paralysis. Coming up to set up committees upon committees at every point in time, talking at every point in time. We are not in want of recommendations in Nigeria. We are not in want of outcomes of summits. We are not in want of meetings and their communiques. Where are they? Just gathering dust wherever they are. Implementation remains our problem. If indeed we are serious about dealing with these issues, why can't the CNC take the bull by the horn and really give marching order? And beyond marching order, let your body language show that you are really against all of these shenanigans. And at the end of the day, it will be to your credit. No leader wants his people killed. Get that correctly. But then, when priority is not set right, there will be fallouts such as this. I think the president and commander-in-chief of the armed forces should recalibrate, re-strategize, and look at his priorities and set it right so that there will be a way to really deal with all these malfeasance that are really serious.
There must be a way to deal with this, just like the former deputy governor of Plateau State said, Valentine says that if the leadership wants to handle insecurity in the country, they definitely know what to do. So one wonders,
that's come from somebody who is privy to security reports.
Yes,
somebody who is privy to the happenings and goings on at the corridor of power.
And
so
we need to something the epicenter of insecurity, from time. So I'm wondering, citizens will wonder, what then is holding the leadership back from doing what it needs to do? I mean, that we keep seeing this every day. Well, we hope either there's going to be security summit or not. Please, the people who wants to be safe needs to be safe, because without security, no one can go about their lawful activities in a peaceful manner, and the nation suffers for it. We lose talents every day, because you never can tell what ought to become of that soul, that was killed. All right, we're still moving on. I think we're on the Vanguard, yes, Sunday.
Of course, Vanguard, there's nothing much in Vanguard anymore. Many of the stories we've picked. Let's check the Nigerian News Direct. So it has a story, interesting story of page 21. APC will soon split. Ganduje elders will return to PDP. That's one from Sule Lamido. Check that on page 21. That doesn't, I think it us there. Any other story? Interesting there. My spirit has left River State Government House. Fubara declares, well, it must be an offshoot of conversations behind a curtain. Whichever way it plays out, may River State be blessed.
Amen. All right, moving check the Daily Independence of this morning. Daily Independence, despite rebound, experts see Nigeria's foreign portfolio tapering off, saying Nigeria needs more stable, long-term capital. Already you find details of this on the front page of the Daily Independent this morning. And still talking about the Daily Independent, Sarah asks CBN to explain if banks disburse allocation direct to local governments. Alright, you find details of this on page 7 of the Daily Independent this morning. Of course, I think the local governments were asked to open, a separate account for their allocations all the time. So it won't be out of place if Sarah is trying to investigate if truly that process is what is in operation now. All right, moving on. 78 enslaved Nigerians set free, return from Ivory Coast. Find details of that on page 6 of the Daily Independent this morning. PDP governors raised Saraki-led committee to reconcile aggrieved members before the National Executive Committee. All right, say defection forcing governors, others to come together. All right, you'll find details of that on the front page of the Daily Independent this morning, spilling to some of the inner pages there. I'm disappointed with National Assembly under Akpabio's leadership, says Sergey. You find details of that. Take a read on the front page of the Daily Independent. And this one, Defense Minister throws weight behind National Assembly Security Summit. Details of that on page 20 now of the Daily Independent. All right, that does it there with stories from the Iran on the newspaper's headlines for this morning. We'll take a short break now, and when we return, we'll bring you something, yes, from the happenings around the weekend, the AMVC Awards, Nigeria Entertainment Scene, and whatever. So you don't want to miss. Please stick around.
Leadership is not a package where you take it and say, here it is, I give you the package. Leadership comes from what you do, how you do it, how you live, what have you acquired in terms of your training, your experience, your track record, and all that. And what I'm saying is that the young people must strive. They shouldn't expect it to be a parcel delivered by DHL to them. they must know that nothing comes just for nothing. You work for it.
Good morning, everyone. Once again, it's still AM today. Of course, at this point, let's talk about the empowerment of the young people through the instrumentality of the entertainment industry. I'm being joined by an entertainment enthusiast and, well, a veteran at his young age, a veteran in the entertainment arena, most especially with the theater arena. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you very much.
It's been a while.
Yeah, we've been doing things in town.
Of course.
A lot is happening in town.
But how well indeed is the entertainment industry presenting the platform of empowerment to young people, especially at a time like this when people like to diversify and look at how they would look the other way to get ends meet in an area where they are passionate?
You see, this topic is a very delicate one. And when you talk about empowerment, it means that somebody is creating an opportunity for people to make the best use of it. I would say, generally, it is not done that way in Nigeria and even within the States. One of the things we have discovered is this. People they are ready to give money to people who have made names. So for instance, when the creative industry funds come, or BOI wants to give out a loan or give out grants, they want to give it to somebody like a player for Lion who has done big projects that you can relate with. But there are people that are not player for Lion, but also have the capacity that player for Lion has, but they don't have the financial backing. Those are the people that need empowerment. You don't empower somebody that is empowered. But that is what we see. People who have the resources, the wherewithal, they have sponsors, they have people funding them, they have funding both international and local. They have grants. They are the ones still getting this funding. So I'm now asking myself, who is empowering who in the entertainment industry in Nigeria? The only thing you see is you discover that the people that we call celebrity, the people that already have names, are the people that keep growing. When an opportunity is coming from the international space, they don't think of people that are budding. They think of people that have blossomed and they feel, oh yeah, the money is safe with them. How do you encourage the people that are growing to do that? Which means you are either going, they either have to sell themselves cheap, or they have to go through dubious means to be able to function or be in that space, which is not to be encouraged. So that's why I don't think there is any form of empowerment for those of us in the entertainment industry. That's been said, let me balance it. One thing that I've also discovered is this: depending on the circle you are in the industry, the tendency for you to be able to harness your skill and use it to now profit yourself, I don't call it empowerment, is there. So unlike
Do you want to call that?
it's you being paid for your services.
So
yes. So for instance, I'm a director and somebody sees me, oh, I want to direct a project, and the person has probably maybe a Afolayan, and he doesn't want to bother himself with all the rigors. He will still be director. He says, okay, come and be a stand director, and he pays me for my service. That is no longer empowerment. Empowerment is for you to give me something, to give me a leverage.
okay.
You understand? They are not giving me a leverage, because I'm going to do a work of as a director, but I'm going to be credited, I'm going to be given credit as an assistant director, and then I'm going to be paid for my services. Then it's no longer empowerment. So if I come here, if I have a program and I say, oh, come and anchor my program, and I pay you for your service, it is no longer empowerment. But when I say, oh, Sunday Kolawole, there is this project I want you to do, or bring a project you want to do, I am going to sponsor it, that is an empowerment. You see the difference? So most of the time, what we see that has happened in the past couple of years in the entertainment industry that seem to have made some people thrive better is not really empowerment. It's some people just trying to get properly paid or compensated for their time.
But how well indeed are young people thriving in the entertainment industry? Specifically looking at Nollywood, would we say that indeed they're making waves as in line with the modernization that hits everywhere?
Well, things are changing. And I would say that we are discovering ourselves. Some 10 years ago, people made movies with ridiculous amounts. You understand? Some of our movies could not get international ratings because when they look at your budget, when you see a Hollywood movie and you see the budget is maybe $1 million. Now bring it to Nigeria. You are shooting a movie for 1 million naira. You know that they are different. When you convert it, that's just like maybe then that's probably like $5,000. It's not about to $5,000. That's maybe like less than $1,000. So imagine somebody says, I shot a movie for $1 million, and you said you shot a movie for let's say $1,000. Would you consider the film as a film? You just say that these guys are just wasted their time and they are not doing anything serious. So, but now we are realizing that it is important for us to pay people well and have
invest well in movies.
When a director comes, back in the days, you say, no, we don't have money, we'll give you 5,000, we'll give you transport money. Now directors are saying, no, this is what I want to collect. They will charge you, they will charge for their services, you take good care of them, you feed them well, you take care of people. Even actors, back in the days, you see people begging to, they beg to be in movies. Now it is being encouraged that however small, however meager, give them something so that they too can understand the fact that we appreciate the value being invested in the project. So that is where we are now.
No, is that then paying off, or that be said to be the offshoot or result of when we now have our movies getting rated internationally, and also, for instance, you find Netflix now having many of our movies there and all of that.
Yeah, so those are part of the things that contributed to it. So because if Netflix will not give you 1 million to go and shoot a movie, it's the equipment you are going to use. The equipment, I was looking at a budget, one of my friends sent me a budget for a movie. The equipment alone will take 20 million. So how can, imagine what you say you want to do with 20 million. Somebody says, don't worry, I will do it with 2 million. You know that there is no way you want to achieve the magic. There is no way. Even if you don't exhaust 20 million, You cannot, there is no way you want to, no matter how, even if you have all the equipment, you can't. So now people are understanding that, oh, let us pay, and it helps the industry because the equipment we now use are quality equipment. They are internationally rated equipment that can fly anywhere. So these are the things that are happening in the industry. And you know, when we talk about entertainment, it's not just acting, it's not just a movie. Even music industry. Music industry has changed. If you want to shoot a musical video now, you can't shoot a good musical video with 500,000 at the moment. Because you hire talents that would be on set with you. You pay your DOP, you get lighting equipment, you get costumes, you get property, other props and other things. Then you know that it's not on that cheap. So yes, people are the cash flow. Let me use that word. The cash flow in the industry is improving, but the cash flow is still limited. So it's not circulating; it's just within itself. So the people that are rich are getting richer, and the people that are struggling are still struggling.
So then, how then can the movie industry in Nigeria, especially Nollywood, improve beyond what it is currently? Because Nigeria is really the world is room for improvement. What are the areas you still need to be touched?
Well, I think we need to work more on synergy. If you go outside, if you go to Hollywood, for instance, you will discover that a lot of big names collaborate with smaller names. But in Nigeria, Osrc Productions wants to do this one. I'm the only one that wants to do it. We cannot achieve much. You understand? But when a Sunday Kolaole, Ayadishafe, Shade Ogidon, the three of us come together, you are dropping 100 million. Shade is dropping 200 million. I'm dropping 50,000 because you know me, I'm going to use my experience. And so it makes us more accountable. Everybody wants to do. It's not a situation whereby I am the alpha and the omega. Everything that is happening, I have the final say. Nobody can query me. If the funds are properly utilized, it is my discretion. If it's not properly utilized, it is also my discretion. So all these little things are the things that is debarring us from moving forward. But until we begin to consciously say, these are the things we want to do, these are how we're going to do it, we're going to collaborate. Big names have maybe like an Ebony Live production with Bolanle Austin Peters production. You can imagine having those two forces come together to produce a film. It's going to make more sense than when, Bolanle Austin Peters, I just want to do it for myself. No, it doesn't. It's one of the things that is holding us back, and until we break that jinx, we'll still keep.
Well, tongues are wagging with respect to the MVC Awards, and somehow the view that how could Lisa B get an award over $7? In fact, someone was saying justice for $7 and all of that. For you, did you see any discrepancy or any hanky-panky in the rating?
So I will not want to delve into it particularly, so that I won't sound biased.
Okay.
For me, $7 was a great story. In fact, one of the best stories we had last year. $7 nailed it. It was an awesome story. It was great. Lisa B, on the other hand, had a lot of dragging. You understand? I did enjoy the story personally, as a filmmaker, as a scriptwriter, as a director. I did enjoy it. So, but also when it comes to, let me say this, when it comes to awards, it is usually not who is better. Sometimes it's a popularity contest.
Okay.
You get? So if the two of us,
was there voting or what?
I didn't even follow, but I think yes. For instance, Sunday Kolaole and Shafe are nominated. Who is the best presenter? You understand? It doesn't matter who is better. And they said, go and vote. It's not a function of who can do it better. It's a function of who has more votes. Whether it is sympathy vote, or it is genuine vote, or it is vote buying, whichever way, somebody got the vote. And
so vote buying goes beyond the political.
So you know, when you say vote buying, so for instance, people are supposed to vote online. If you are supposed to vote online and they say voting is 15 naira, and then I tell you that, you go and vote, get as many people as vote, I'm going to give you XYZ to be voting. And you know, on such things, because the people that are also doing some of these things, they also want to make something out of it. And they say, okay, well, per vote is 100 naira. And then I credit you with 150,000. And I say, use it to vote. And then I give you another 100,000 as your own thank you. Will you not use the 150,000 to vote? So that is technically buying the votes. Because you are not, so one person is having maybe like 1,000 votes. So it's vote buying. But for me as a person, I feel I would always rate Seven Doors over Lisabi. The fact that Lisabi now won has not made Seven Doors a less fame, or it has not reduced the quality of the production and the impact it had. The storytelling was great, the acting was wonderful, the costume, but I don't know why.
But in any case, the lead actors got their flowers.
Yes, so that like I said, it's more of a contest. When I watched Lisabi dragged too long. I watched the first part and I got tired. I got tired halfway because I didn't see any reason. It was the clouds that made me watch it. Oh, everybody's talking Lisabi. What are they talking about this Lisabi? Let me go and watch. But I didn't say anything. I'm not trying to demarket the film. The film has been out. A lot of people that wants to watch has gone to watch it. It's not demarketing it, but I just feel, for me as a filmmaker, it's not a film I want to sit down and spend 1 hour plus to watch. I don't have that kind of time. But for Seven Doors, I think I still want to rewatch it because I could learn a couple of other things from it. So that's the way I see it.
Now, going forward, and as a place to wrap on this conversation, what should be the preoccupation in the minds of young people who feel that they could venture into the entertainment industry, not just as a means of survival, but also as a question of passion?
So the first thing I'm going to tell you, as a candid advice, and on Friday I was talking to a friend of mine who is also in the industry in Canada, and he said, Aji, you can't survive on passion alone. You need to have something else that is funding you.
Your passion.
So if you want to go into the entertainment industry, please make sure you have something that can sustain your daily living while you pursue. I have other things that I do that makes my enemies so that I can pay school fees and feed my family, but I'm still following my passion. But for us who are passionate about it, please, I beg you, get something that can sustain your daily life. You cannot fully depend on your passion. When you get there, you will get to a space where the passion will now begin to pay. Yeah, you become like a chef, Femi Adebayo, Tunde Kilani, Tade Ogidon, Tunle Afolayan. Yes, when you get to that space, yes, even for them, they still have other means. You understand? They have other investments so that they can, because if you want to live basically on your passion in this country, somebody can pay you. It is an entertainment industry where somebody can pay you, this one, you got a gig and they pay you 20 million now, and you not get another one for another 6-7 months. So you need something to be able to sustain yourself. So whichever way you are driving yourself, ensure that you have a means of survival on a daily basis.
Thank you so much, Shabe.
Same here. Thank you very much
for coming on here today. Alright, that does it on this conversation, and we'll take a break now. When we return, AM Today continues. Please stay with us, everyone.
Leadership is not a package where you take it and say, here it is, I give you the package. Leadership comes from what you do, how you do it, how you live, what have you acquired in terms of your training, your experience, your track record, and all that. And what I'm saying is that the young people must strive. They shouldn't expect it to be a parcel delivered by DHL to them. And they must know that nothing comes just for nothing. You work for it.
Let's glad to know you're still with us on AM today. Our next segment of interviews ought to be something on the climate change, how it's worsening hunger and insecurity in Africa. But still awaiting our guest for that part of the show this morning. And let me just take you through some of what the reports from the World Meteorological Organization says about how climate change is affecting our world. It's something that I believe we should all take seriously, because the world, the environment, really, we give back to us what we give to it. The World Meteorological Organization has released a report indicating that extreme weather events and climate change are severely undermining socio-economic development across Africa, exacerbating issues of hunger, insecurity, and displacement. And these three things, hunger, insecurity, and displacement, are some of the major factors, that Nigerians and of course the Nigerian government are battling with right now. Hunger in Nigeria is getting on the high side, and so is insecurity and displaced persons as well. The state of the climate in Africa, that's the 2024 report, highlights that the year has been marked as either the warmest or the second warmest year on record, with the past decade being the hottest in history, meaning the last 10 years have been the hottest in history, and 2024 seems to be on the peak of this season of hotness. According to the report, sea surface temperatures around the continent have reached unprecedented levels, particularly in Atlantic Ocean, and leading to extensive marine heat waves. Leaving that aside, let's just look at the challenges that it outlines. Says the report outlines the multifaceted challenges posed by climate change impacting agriculture, because when the pattern of rainfall is unstable, then food security becomes an issue. Yes, it becomes threatened. Water resources, energy supply, health, and education as well. It's also highlighted opportunities for innovation, noting that advancement in artificial intelligence, mobile communication, weather prediction models could be used at enhancing the accuracy and the reach of weather services across Africa. I think that's where policymakers and stakeholders, will be looking at now to bring succor and remedy to the situation. That's talking about using artificial intelligence as one of the ways of innovation to combat climate change and its attendance effect on mankind. And while we wait for our guests to come, I want you to have a view of this documentary on water, as water is what they say is life. It is one of those things that's really affected with or by the climate change. So let's have a look at this.
Of all natural resources given to us by nature, water is one of the most essential ones. The involvement of life on earth required water, without which life on earth would not have happened. Water is the driving force of all nature. From plants, animals, humans, water is heavily dependent on for survival. Without water, our planet Earth would be a gigantic dead desert. Water, as we all know, is a tasteless, odorless, and colorless chemical substance. It is the most precious substance on Earth, occurs in three states: solid, liquid, and gas. It is most appreciated by women in its liquid stage, as this is how they prefer to consume it.
Two basic things that can make man to survive. You talk about food and you also talk about water. And water, man, we can still survive without food for 3 days at least if we are taking water. Some they even survive for 7 days just from mere taking of water. So water is very, very critical in human survival. And when we look at the creation, there are two main things that God created that make the composition of man. They talk about blood, they talk about water. If any of these two that are mentioned are missing, you will discover that one is quickly telling the Lord that I want to go back home. So water is very, very essential for survival of man.
Water covers over half of the earth. Over 70% of the earth is water, meaning it's one of the most important resources on earth. Our bodies are also made of more than 90% of water, without which we would be a mass of bones walking around. Water plays important roles in human body. It helps to lubricate the brains and the joints in the body. When we drink good amount of water, brain cells are better supplied with fresh oxygen-laden blood and the brain remains alert. Likewise, the joints and muscles are refined properly. Muscles and joints, in addition to the bones, are necessary for us to stand, sit, move, and carry out all daily activities. 70% of the muscles is made up of water. Maintaining the right water balance is essential for optimum muscle function. Water also transports carbohydrates, vitamins, minerals, and other important nutrients and oxygen to the cells. The body cells then produce energy for the body to function. In addition, water facilitates disposal of waste products of metabolism, enabling the right cellular chemical function. Water helps to regulate body temperature by redistributing heat from active tissues to the skin and cooling the body through perspiration. Water is normally about 60% of body weight in adult males, and it is slightly lower, about 50 to 55% in females, due to their higher proportion of body fat. The muscles and the brain are about 75% water. The blood and kidneys are about 81% water. The body requires sufficient water to survive and function properly. Humans cannot live without drinking water for more than a few days, depending on weather, activity levels, and other factors. Water is central to the most basic physiological functions, such as regulating digestion of food and absorption of nutrients.
If water is life, that means life is water. And according to the adage, in Yoruba they say "Akínbómi ṣọ̀tá, omi la bù wẹ̀, omi la bomi." That is, you cannot be an enemy to source of water. You must one way or the other utilize water. And scientifically, the 70% of the body content is water, while the 30% consists of other components, bones, flesh, and whatever. Water indeed is life, and even with water gives lives. The issue of water in those states for some times have been a big problem, to an extent that water became scarce, and not only scarce, there was a lot of stress that was developed in sourcing for water. But thank God, as of today, the governments have the solution to water problem, and thereby giving water.
From digestive tract, water is required to dissolve nutrients so that they may be absorbed into the bloodstream and delivered to the cells. Inadequate water supply in the body will slow the digestive process and can lead to constipation. Water is very important for healthy heart function, and it is essential to keep blood pressure within the healthy range. Lack of proper water supply in the body decrease cardiac output, which may lead to increase in heart rate and a fall in blood pressure. Research has shown that people who drink more than 5 glasses of water a day were less likely to die from a heart attack or heart disease than those who drank fewer than 2 glasses a day.
Water Like me, I always tell my patients, everybody I meet, water is life next to blood. Blood is life if you don't have blood, but water is life. Even if you don't eat and you take water, you feel refreshed. Then